Aaron, would you mind just getting us going with
I, I can actually. I feel like I could actually do it this time.
beautiful.
Let's go.
That is the
It's been, it's
content I am here for.
it's been a
Hello,
while.
everyone, and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. Do not adjust your television sets. Do not adjust your phones, your radios. We come to you on the back of a victory. The first victory since January, and my God, it feels good. We've got an awful lot to talk about today, but before we dive into our regularly scheduled content, let's see who we've got on the pod today. We welcome back Dan. Dan, how are you, my friend? Oh, Dan, you're muted, mate.
Unmuted. Oh, there we go. I'm all good, thank you very much. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, buddy, I'm not too bad. I'm just recovering from a bit of a cold, but there's nothing that gets you feeling back nice and proper than a victory over the weekend. So that was decent. That was decent. We also welcome back Chloe. Chloe, my friend, how are you?
I'm absolutely buzzing. That was awesome yesterday, so I'm buzzing. Yeah.
We love to see it. We love to see it. And Aaron, mate, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Much better. Much better. Finally over COVID. So yeah, all good. Even better after yesterday. So it's been a good weekend so far.
Good. I'm glad to hear it, mate. That COVID is a nasty bugger. So it's decent. I'm glad you're feeling a bit better, mate. And as you say, what a better way to get over it than a victory against Arsenal. Now, I read an interesting stat against about us and Arsenal. I'm going to just get it up for me now so I can read it properly. So Arsenal have won just 3 of their 10 Premier League games against little old Brighton, and only have a lower win rate against Liverpool and Manchester United. I think that's a pretty decent company to be in. So let's jump into it then. I'm just going to start off, if I may, with just chatting a little bit about with the formation and the team news when it came out, because I think there was a lot of people on socials and including us in our group chat when the team was announced an hour before kickoff. We looked at it and it was a case of how. Now, Aaron, I predicted I called it the mega diamond, but when you saw the team, Aaron, would it be fair to say that you weren't particularly impressed?
Oh no, I thought we were screwed. I have to admit, I saw that team and went, oh, here we go. I was like, here we go again. I was like, it's going to be an absolute rout. I couldn't see where we were going to, how we were going to stop their front three of Odegaard, Saka, and Smith Rowe. And I don't know why I keep doing this. It seems like I doubt Potter, and then he does shit like this. And it's like, all right, yeah, fair enough. It's like maybe I should shut up and keep quiet and stop being a moany little bitch and just let the man do his job, because clearly he knows what he's doing. It's just taken him a while to, in the last sort of 3 months, to get his injuries sorted. And we looked very good yesterday. Like it was not so nice to see the midfield of Basuma, Muepa, and Caicedo. I thought that, especially the last two were class, Muepa and Caicedo, especially. I thought they looked really comfortable, which is nice. And yeah, it was nice. It was a pleasant surprise because like you said, I am Mr. Negative in our group chat. There's no denying that. And yeah, I was proven wrong, and I will hold my hands up and say I was mistaken again. And it seems like I owe the computer an apology, because that was a hell of a performance.
It certainly was, mate. Just coming back to that really briefly, then, Chloe, when you saw the formation, did it? Well, I say formation, the lineup. Did it leave you scratching your head and thinking, well, we don't seem to be playing with any recognised right back? What's going on here?
Yeah, I was just I still don't really know what sort of formation we played. It was bizarre. It's like we've got a lot of midfielders, like 3 defenders, and I think Trossard and Welbeck as well. That add up, yeah. Um, And I was like, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. I think our defense looks weak, so we might end up conceding a few. But Potter got it right, and that's why he's a football manager, and I'm just chatting about the football on this. But yeah, it was a very good performance. I thought everyone did really well, to be honest. Even players like Trossard and Basuma, I thought looked sort of up to their best, because they can have some great games, and recently I don't think they have so much, but they both looked up to their standard again. And obviously you mentioned Caicedo and Wepu were just top notch. They were just amazing. I couldn't believe how easily they sort of slotted in, because they obviously have Caicedo, that was his Premier League debut for us, and Wepu hasn't played that much. But it all seemed very cohesive. The team seemed to just know communicate very well and know where the passes were going and know where to be. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. It just seemed like everything was clicking, as you say, which is fantastic to hear, to see. Dan, when you saw Casado getting his first start in the Premier League, what was your initial reaction? Was it something that you thought was long overdue, or were you a bit apprehensive?
I thought that we needed a bit of a refreshing in the midfield anyway. We needed something to sort of give that extra bit of a spark. I thought when I first saw it, I thought finally we need somebody a bit new in the squad. Just a bit of freshening up. But I'm glad he did start, because he did very well. I was very impressed. He's a decent player. Obviously, he's international, so he is a very good player. I hope this is the start of something very special for him. I hope.
Yeah, agreed. I think, especially considering a lot has been made of Bissouma since Christmas, really, about his performances perhaps not being up to the quality that they normally are. Although I must say, I thought Bissouma played really well yesterday, really well. Um, but generally speaking, there's a lot of chat about Bissouma's future, where that lies, whether it be at Brighton or somewhere else. And it's just, I think fans have been clamoring for a while, as you say, Dan, to freshen the squad up, because we've gone on a pretty awful run. And it was really nice to see those fresh legs in the middle. And it was amazing how just two players, coming in Mwepu and Casado, we just looked fresh again. And we just looked to be enjoying our football. Now, I thought the opening 15, 20 minutes was quite even. I didn't think Arsenal particularly looked um particularly threatening, but there was one moment, Aaron, early in the first half, where they got a free kick, Saka whips it in, and it goes to the back post. Did you think that that was an early warning sign of things to come, or do you think that Arsenal didn't really pose much of a threat?
It's strange to say that Arsenal didn't pose much of a threat, because you know from their form really from sort of February to the start of the season, they've looked really good. Like going forward, they always looked like they could hold a threat. But yes, Monday and especially yesterday, they didn't really look like they left the dressing room. Like they were just like ticking over. Like they weren't really bothered about really what's going on. You've got to think they're in the top four. Chance of to get in the top four again, which for a club like Arsenal is huge. It's to be back along Champions League football, and they didn't really create much. Like was it was a warning sign, but that was the only way I could see them really testing us, because I thought the back the back three was solid as a rock yesterday. Like Dunk looked like he was back to his best, Veltman class, or Kukurea class. And it was like, if you're going to beat us, it would have to be with something special or a bit of luck. And it was via a big deflection. They got their goal. But other than that, they didn't really do a great deal. Really, Sanchez made a couple of fantastic saves late on, but other than that, it was reasonably comfortable. I thought. I don't know what it felt like in the ground, Chloe, but from watching it on TV, it looked very comfortable, like comfortable 2-goal lead.
Yeah, what do you think about that then, Chloe? Because obviously you and Dan were there. So, Chloe, what was that like opening 20 minutes like at the Emirates? Was there a bit of, because on the radio and on the TV, Arsenal fans seems to be getting a bit restless. because they were not really doing much. What was the mood like in the ground?
Yeah, I thought we looked, you know, sometimes we can start a bit slow, but I thought, we looked decent from the off, really. We did have sort of a few, we didn't really have many chances, I don't think, early on, but we were passing the ball around quite nicely and a few good moves. Um, and then I think they had that chance, and it was a bit nerve-wracking, but it's like, it didn't go in. It don't really matter that much. And we were still looking like we could do something, and then when we scored from then onwards, I was so nervous. Um, I thought, oh God, they're going to get back into it. And I think they started looking a bit like threatening just before we got the second goal. And then after that, it was a bit less nervy. Then it's like, okay, we're 2-0 up. But then when they got their goal, I was thinking they're going to end up equalising. And that last 6 minutes was the longest 6 minutes of my life. And I was just glad that we could see it out. And it's like, before the game, you know what, I probably would have taken a draw, but once you're winning, you just want to win, really. But
Oh
it
yeah.
was, I think, it was quite a nice atmosphere for Brighton fans. Unfortunately, I didn't get into the block, which seemed to be the nice noisy one. I was in a different block, but the whole sort of away end was quite noisy. They sang a new song, which I didn't manage to catch the words to, so which was a bit disappointing, because I wanna learn the words, wanna sing along. But yeah, and I think Wepu's got a song now, which is good. So yeah, it was a really, really positive atmosphere from the away end in that game.
That's really good. And you've said it before, Chloe, that our away atmosphere is normally so good, which is fantastic. Because I think it goes to show you that we perform better on the road. The fans are bouncing, and the team gave them everything to get behind yesterday. Now, Dan, just before we get onto that first goal, and I don't really want to mention them lot up the road, but them lot up the road convincingly beat Arsenal earlier in the week. Do you feel like there was any additional pressure on Arsenal to come back from a pretty disappointing defeat? And did you also feel like there was a bit of pressure on us, considering our biggest rivals just took them to the cleaners, basically?
I feel like basically when they had that loss, I thought they would be a bit more like wanting to revenge that loss, because they are still in the top four fight. They want to get to Europe, and then to come to us and sort of come to then to lose again. It's I don't get the mentality of Arsenal, because they didn't really put much of a fight. I don't think they sort of it's a bit lackluster, and which I thought was very surprising, because we basically played them off the park for most of the match. But yeah, I don't know. It's strange, really, because obviously Palace are sorry, I said that P word, but they played them off the park, and then they got us played off the park. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure, really.
it's a funny one, isn't it? I think Arsenal, I think, are still a part of a core group of teams in this league that I don't think they're that far ahead of us in terms of their quality. There is no doubt that they've got better individuals, 100%. I don't disagree with that statement. But I think the only two teams that I kind of they don't strike fear in my heart, but it's the idea of City and Liverpool. They're the only two teams that I kind of go, oh, every other team I think is beatable. And I was expecting a response from Arsenal again after their disappointment earlier in the week, and they didn't. They didn't respond. And now let's move on to that first goal then, because for me, what was really nice about that goal was it was a classic Lewis dunk, long ball into the channel. And Aaron, I can't remember the last time I saw Lewis dunk try a ball like that. We've been saying for weeks that the build-up play is too slow. It's too slow. It's too slow. It gets teams to reset. Yesterday, long ball into the channel, pacey and direct. Was that just really enjoyable to watch?
It was, and we've been saying this for ages. Like, pace scares teams. Like, if you play out wide and you have players who are actually quick, who can actually get there, and then to produce to produce the ball cut back for Trossard. The ball over the top, it reminded me very much of his one at Selhurst against Palace. Just the ball over the top, and admittedly, it was a mistake from one of their scummy centre halves who missed the ball and let Murray through. But we've been missing that the last sort of 2-3 months, where we're just missing that. People say it's a hopeful ball. I don't think it was. I think he's purposely tried to play that because that's what he's got in his locker. And the finish was superb. Like when it went back to him, I was like, "Here we go." I was like, "What do you reckon? Over the bar?" And just like it'd be vintage Brighton have a wonderful opportunity and sky it, but top bins. It was weird. It was annoying because I knew we scored before I saw it, which was annoying. So my mate Angus, who's an Arsenal fan, was like, "There's your goal," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Hey, say he's lying. He's lying." So I was just waiting for something, but I wasn't expecting it to be that. I was expecting it to be like a quite scrappy goal, but it was good football, and it was something like I said we've been missing for the last sort of 6 or 7 games, and the cutting edge as well. We didn't have many other chances, but when we had the chance, we took them, and that's what we were doing at the start of the season. And it was nice to have that cutting edge for a change.
Yeah, we've as you say, we've lacked that for a very long time, and I do think it was a meaningful ball because you can tell Mwepu because he's waiting for that pass, he's looking for it, and that's what's kept him on side, and that's why we've been able to break with pace. And what a finish, Chloe! I mean, when that went in, what I bet you guys in the away end went absolutely ballistic.
It was like, oh wait, what's happened? Everyone's cheering. Oh, we did a goal! Yay! It was amazing. It was amazing. I can't believe how much space he was in, and we just attacked so quickly that they couldn't get back. And yeah, and it was Trossard as well. And I've recently been having my doubts about him a little bit, but I think just when we attack with that more pace, and he's got a bit of space in the box, he can actually, produce quite a classy finish. And the away end just went mental, like singing, like we scored a goal, we scored a goal. It was amazing.
I bet.
Yeah, it was just. It was. I'm still ecstatic because that result yesterday was just brilliant, and the whole game was just brilliant. So yeah, that was pretty much my thoughts. It was brilliant.
But you can see on the elation on your face, Chloe. It's just what as we as fans and what they as players needed. They just needed that game and that goal. And Dan, do you think it's fair to say that Trossard always looks a little bit better not long after he's come back from international duty? Because I thought, I've been quite critical of Trossard over the last couple of months. But he seems to have come back from the Belgian camp with just renewed confidence and vigour. Do you think that's a fair assessment to make, that post international duty, he always just looks that bit sharper?
He does seem that way. He does, because he's training with some very good players on his internationals, so you can sort of see he's coming back with sort of like, I want to play like these players I've just trained with. So he wants to do that. He has got it in his locker. He's always sort of. I always think he always plays better against the bigger teams as well. Obviously, we've always statistically always done better against the bigger teams anyway. But he always plays that little step more against them, and it's great to see. It's brilliant to see.
Yeah, it was a really nice performance and a really well taken goal, cushioned it into the top corner. Nothing Ramsdale could do about it. But the first half wasn't without its chances for the other team, but for Arsenal. Now, would say slightly controversial. The offside. I know that a certain Mr. Morgan was very angry on Twitter. Aaron, so for that goal for you, well, the Arsenal from the corner. I want to talk to you a little bit about Sanchez for that. Now, I don't want to be too critical because obviously we won the game. I can't moan too much, but I remember when I was watching that and I was under the impression it was a goal. I remember thinking to myself, bloody hell, Sanchez he's not in command of his area there. Do you think that's fair of me to say, or do you think I'm just being a negative Nelly?
No, I think you're probably right to think that. I did put that in the chat yesterday. He seemed, it was only, to be fair, it was the only time where he looked very unsure on what to do. It was offside. Like I'm blocked by Piers Morgan, so I can't actually see what he put, but I've seen what Gary Lineker's put to him. So it was offside. You can't. The goalkeeper can't keep you onside. It's an obvious standard footballing rule. It was tight. Don't get me wrong. Right, if it was given, I wouldn't have had any complaints. But yeah, like you said, he didn't cover himself in much glory. But then he does this once in the blue moon during a game where he'll make one silly error, then be fantastic for the rest of the game, and that's exactly what it was like yesterday. Like it was nice to see Sanchez back in form, Dunk back in form, Trossard performing like he does against a top 6 team, but then we probably won't see him till we play. Well, actually, no, we've got Spurs and City next, so he'll be fine the next couple of games. But yeah, I think that's the only thing you can really say to that is he didn't cover himself in glory in that moment, and we got away with it. But without him, we probably would have come away with a point, if not now towards the end of the game, because some of those saves were massive. That one against Nketiah, that header, that was a hell of a save. Like that looked like it was going in at some pace as well. And then Nketiah is not a particularly great striker as it is, but he looked dangerous when he came on. And yeah, that save was very, very good. Very good. So, like I said, it's difficult when a keeper makes a mistake because 90% of the time it turns out to be a goal. But, can't really say he's redeemed himself because he was fantastic other than that error, which in the end wasn't costly. So,
yeah, definitely. I'm probably being a bit too harsh on him there but you are right, Aaron. Towards the end, he did keep us in the game. Did he get a touch on the free kick as well that hit the bar?
I think so. It's either either his hand has hit the bar or he's tipped onto the bar. Okay, it was very difficult to see. That was a hell of a free kick, by the way, as well. Jeez. But yeah, I think he just hit the bar instead of him tipping onto the bar. I think.
Okay, fair enough. Fair dues. Just going really quickly back to the offside then, Chloe. It seemed to take an age for VAR to make a decision. Was there any sort of indication what was happening in the ground at all, or were you just left to wait?
Well, as soon as it went in, Sanchez went right running up to the ref and was complaining. I thought he'd been fouled or something, but then on the board it said checking VAR, offside. I was like, oh, come on, just give us a bit of luck. I had no idea if it was offside or not. From the ground, like I couldn't tell. I looked through Twitter at half time and saw some like screenshots people had, and it did look offside, and I think it was the correct decision. I'm not quite sure why it did take so long for the decision to be made, because I did think it wasn't obvious, but I think it was fairly clear. And yeah, it was like that wait, and then the longer it starts going on, you think if it takes this long, normally that means it's going to be ruled out. So I was getting quite hopeful, and then when it got ruled out, it was like, yes, we're
Yeah.
still winning.
And going into half time, Dan, with the lead still intact, do you think that was pivotal for our success for the rest of the game? Do you think if we had gone in at 1-1, our heads might have dropped at all?
There's always that worry that it could happen. I think we played very well to keep it that way. Obviously, with the offside, obviously, which definitely was offside. But yeah, we seemed fairly comfortable after the 1-1. I don't think, to mind, I don't think they had any more of a chances than that. I don't think they did. I try to remember, but I can't off the top of my head. But yeah, we seemed fairly decent after that. So I think that was fair to go in 1-0 up.
Yeah, it was a fantastic first half display. And then we went and did it all again. And I'm going to say that, guys, I think that second goal is potential goal of the season contender. Not for an oh my God moment like Mope against West Ham, but as a general team goal. The interplay there was absolutely fantastic. And just a quick stat on Mwepu before I come to you to chat about the goals. So Mwepu has had 6 goal contributions in 8 starts. That's a decent statistic for anyone's book. Now, Aaron, that second goal was a thing of beauty, no?
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was. For when it was like watching the roles reverse. It seemed like we were watching the old Arsenal playing one touch, lovely, quick football, and the finish as well was unreal. Like on the half volley to put it through a crowd of players and put it into the bottom corner. Just the, just the football itself was class. Like I don't. I think you're spot on saying that could be goal of the season. Like it was up there with Izquierdo's against Stoke sort of football, where that goal was ridiculous. That was like watching prime Barcelona. But this one I think probably meant more because the lack of form we're in to go 2-0 up away at the Emirates is not a hard not an easy thing to accomplish. And I can't think I don't think many Arsenal fans will disagree saying we deserve to be 2-0 up. Like I've got mates who are Arsenal fans, my missus is an Arsenal fan, and you know, they all said the same thing. Yeah, we deserve to be 2-0 down. So we've been awful. It's like, yeah, but we've been pretty good. And so I think it's a bit unfair to say no, Arsenal were awful. That's why Brighton looked class. I think if Arsenal even turned up, I still think we would have given them still ahead of the game. Like we made their players go missing. Like it's a hard task because don't get me. Arsenal are still. I know you said earlier Arsenal aren't a team you fear anymore. They still are to a certain degree when they're on form. If they're not, they're similar to United. If United are off form, I would love to play United next week. I would love to play United next week because we could beat them. 100% we could beat them. And it's the same with Arsenal. After Monday, I was expecting a reaction, and it just never came. And even if it did come, like it did in the start of the second half, they were coming at us. The start of the second half, they looked with a bit more threat and a bit more pace going forward. Still didn't feel like they were going to score. It wasn't. It was only until they scored and the 6 minutes added on, I was thinking, here we go. But before that, we had the game under control. Like the football before the goal, we looked solid, and just 3 or 4 quick passes, and all of we're 2-0 up. And it was, I've seen a video on Twitter going around. I think either Joe or you shared it on our Twitter. From the away end, it just looked like absolute scenes, just absolute scenes. And I do miss away days. I have to admit, I do miss doing away days. And kudos to both Dan and Chloe for going, especially Chloe going around all around the country this year. So fair play. You're a crazy, crazy lady, and I respect it. And I respect it.
I wonder if Chloe, at the end of the year, end of the season, you can give us a total mileage of how far you've gone. So let's talk Chloe. That second goal. Just want to touch on Caicedo because I thought he had a really fantastic game, and what a way for the young lad to mark his debut with a hell of an assist. He looks up and he just hooks the ball back to Mwepu. Tell us about like your vantage point and tell us about the reactions from the crowd again, because I bet it was just bedlam.
Yeah, when I saw him like kick it backwards, there was a few good moves before that. Trossard, I think, like they had a bit of a like 1-2, and it was really good. And then when he sort of kicked it back, I was like, "What's he doing?" And then I just saw Mwepu just absolutely pound it into the back of the net, and I was like, "Oh my God, we've scored again!" And it was amazing. And yeah, it was such a good goal, and that assist from Caicedo was just, he obviously knew what he was doing, contrary to what they might have said on Match of the Day. Did he mean it? Of course he meant it. But I thought it was brilliant little bit of team play between Trossard, Caicedo, and Mwepu. All just did brilliant. They all did their parts brilliantly in that goal, and we deserved it, and it felt a lot more comfortable at that point, having that 2-goal cushion, I think, thinking, we're actually going to win this. It's just, yeah, it was brilliant.
an unusual feeling, I'm sure. Dan, when that second goal did go in, were you shocked? Was it a case of goals are like buses? You wait for one forever, then two show up really quickly. Did you think that once we'd scored the second, that was it? Points were in the bag, or did you still have those nagging doubts of, "Ooh, we could still lose or we could still concede"?
I think when you scored, I was delighted. Obviously, to see two goals is very rare. Then I wasn't really that worried. I thought they weren't really challenging Sanchez a lot. I wouldn't say they had quite enough of the killer instinct to try and win the game until obviously they had that score, which I stood there. I was like, that's fairly good, that. And then after yeah, it's just it was like, oh, please just don't be Brighton and just have a draw. Let's have a win, please. I was so glad when that final whistle went. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I bet it was that sense of relief. I mean, I know that when that final whistle gone, I was in that position of, oh, thank goodness, thank God for that. We've only got and won a football game. But it wasn't without its need for Big Bob Sanchez, as we've said already. He made some fantastic saves towards the end. A big looping deflection off of Welbeck as well for Erdegaard's. His goal there. But we saw the game out, which I think was really important, and that'll do wonders for mentality. And we also saw the return of Adam Webster and Adam Lallana coming on as a second half subs. So, Aaron, how good will it be to finally see Webster back in the side?
Oh yeah, it'd be great. It was when he came on, it was like I was like, here we go. It's like now I feel a lot more at ease. And then we conceded. And I think, oh, here we go. I was like, but yeah, it was lovely to see him back. Like when he made that interview in Sky Sports during last week, it sounded very much like his season was done. He was like, "Oh, I put dates on it and it hasn't worked out." And I think I put in the chat, I was like, "That's him. We won't see him this year." Then it's like, well, the rest of the season. But no, great to have him back. And I think now the question is, what do we do against Tottenham? This is the next question. Do we stick to the Mega Diamond, or do we go back to what we've been playing through the start of the season? Do you chuck Webster in there for an hour and a half, hour and sort of 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and change it, or do you stick with the same team? It'd be very difficult not to stick with the same team. I think you would want to keep the momentum going, but it all depends on really what you see as a winnable game for the next 3 games. You've got is Spurs Saturday, City Wednesday, Southampton the Sunday. Do you play the team you would play against Southampton on the Saturday coming up and rest them for midweek against City? It's all out of the winnable games. You would obviously take Southampton at home. Well, Southampton to be a game you would look at and go, yeah, we'll rest the players for the City game and get them fit for and ready for the game on Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'm not envious of Potter. Part of me would think that I'd probably keep changes to a minimum. I definitely think Mwepu and Casado should start, and I'd be interested. From having already played Spurs twice this season, I think Potter would be classified as insane if you went and played a back four.
It wouldn't surprise me if he does though, Tom. It wouldn't surprise me because I think each time we played Tottenham this year, we especially at White Hart Lane, the first half especially, we got battered. Like we weren't particularly great, and even at the Amex, we weren't particularly great either. But would it be a bit unfair because you remember that FA Cup game, Webster had an absolute shocker, and one of his rare ones, I have to admit, because it doesn't normally look as ropey as he did. But what would in your mind would you rather stick to what we had yesterday, and then like I said, focus on the games coming up, as in Southampton the following week? Let's be honest, if we get anything from City, I'll be very surprised. That they are a class above the rest. They are the best team in the world for a reason, and obviously they're playing for the title, so they're going to be wanting goals. They're going to be wanting points, no matter how good we'll be. We could be at our best, and we still won't match City. Like everyone knows that. It's not me being negative. It's just the truth. They're a class above the rest. That the reason why they're managed by one of the best managers and probably ever to have managed a football team. And I think I would love to go five at the back against Spurs. I would love to just get the foundations there, which we've had for the start of the season. We haven't played them with five at the back, so that's what I would love to see is five at the back. Obviously, Lamptey right wing back. The Webster comes back in for Gross, and then everyone else sort of sets itself up. There's no other changes I would necessarily make to that team other than the formation. I don't know about what you guys think, but that's my personal view on it for Saturday. And obviously,
Go on.
Go on. No, you go, Tom.
I was just going to open it up and say, Chloe, where do you stand on this? Do you stick or do you twist? And how would you set up against Spurs after yesterday's positive result?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to change too much. I mean, you don't change a winning team, do you? But I think Spurs are probably quite similar to Arsenal, position wise. So I wouldn't change too much. I would like to see a back five. As you said, we haven't played them with a back five. And yeah, if we did put Webster in for Gross, and then we still got a solid midfield and we still got quite a solid attack. And I think, yeah, that would actually be quite an exciting team. If I saw that team on next Saturday, I would actually be quite excited and thinking, oh, we can actually get something here. So that is what I would like to see.
How about you, Dan? Do you stick or do you twist? Any names that you think after yesterday's performance are undroppable, or is there anyone you want to see come in?
If I make any changes, it'd be minimal. Maybe Lamptey on, sort of bring a bit of width. I think undroppable would be Mwepu and Casado. Definitely can't drop them. Yeah, maybe more pay. Maybe we should come on. I don't know for who though. Maybe just a bit of a pace up front. Other than that, I don't think I would change anything other than maybe little changes here and there.
Yeah, that's decent. I think looking ahead, I really liked playing what I can only imagine is a 3-3-1, which is classic early 90s Barca and Bielsa football, and it was really refreshing to see. So if I saw the same team line up again, I would not be disappointed in the slightest. But as you guys have said, it'd be nice to see, the likes of Lamptey on to bring that width, Webster return. I think the only three players that I would definitely sort of stay, well, apart from obviously Sanchez, Duncan, Veltman and whatnot, I definitely want to see that midfield three again of Mwepu, Bissouma and Casado, because I think that, I think that Mwepu could be that missing that midfielder that is going to chip in with those goals. As I say, the stats speak for themselves already. 6 goal contributions through assists and goals itself in 8 starts, and that's a really decent stat. But Potter is nothing if unpredictable. So goodness knows how we will set up against Spurs next week. We've chatted a little bit about next week, so let's go for some score predictions for the next game against Spurs. Aaron, where's your money on the next game? Are we going to see back-to-back wins, or Spurs going to put us to the sword for the 3rd time this season?
Good question. I don't really know, to be honest, because I watched Spurs yesterday and they looked rampant. And you know what we're like. It all depends if we turn up or not. I swear, it's the same every week, isn't it? It depends if we turn up like we did yesterday, then we've got a hell of a chance. But if we turned out like we did there in the FA Cup, then we have nada chance. It all depends. It really does depend. And ask me at 11:30 on Saturday morning what I think, and then you'll have the answer there. Because I generally do not know.
Fair enough. I think, as you say, spot on, really. Depends what Brighton team turn that when. We've said that a lot this season. Chloe, if you had to make a prediction, what would yours be? Are Spurs going to continue their strong run of form, or are we going to, start building a head of steam for our late end of season top 10 charge?
We're gonna win. That's what I reckon. I reckon we're gonna win 3-1. We're gonna score 3 goals.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it. We scored 2 this week. We're going to score 3 next week. Dan, do you share Chloe's optimism?
In all honesty, my heart wants to say after yesterday to win, but my head says Spurs probably have got a bit more to them than us. So in that case, I say draw. 1-1 draw. Why not?
Diplomatic. I like that. I suppose a lot of it depends as well on how referee Harry Kane lets the game go on. Because as we've seen a lot this season, it depends. It all depends on how he thinks the game needs to go. I think I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to share Chloe's optimism. I'm going to say we're going to go and we're going to do a win. And I think it's going to be. I don't think I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go 2-0. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet. I think Big Bob is going to bring up the goods. And I think goals again from Trossard and Mr. Neil, because I want Neil to score after his disappointment at Norwich, so get him back on form. But what a wonderful way to come back on Albion Obsessed and talk about a victory, something we haven't had to do since January. And I've just realised, guys, before we sign off, I would love to get your player of the match for yesterday. Because I've just remembered I haven't done it. So, Aaron, who was your man of the match yesterday, mate?
It's gonna be a tight one, probably between Enoch and probably Casado for me. I thought those two especially were outstanding. But I think for the fact it was his Premier League debut, I would give it to Casado myself. And to make it worse, Norwich have just made it 2-0, which is ridiculous.
It's a funny old game, isn't it? Norwich, bottom of the table, beating the team Burnley that took us to the cleaners at the Amex. But jumping around again, Chloe, who was your player of the match yesterday?
Yeah, I think it really has to be Wepu or Caicedo, although Sanchez did keep us in the game at the end. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go Mwepu just because he got an assist and a goal, and yeah, he was brilliant. So I'm gonna go Mwepu.
Strong choice, strong choice. And Dan, who was your player of the match?
Casado has to be. It was breath of fresh air, really good. Got the assist. Brilliant debut. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a debut, wasn't it? And congrats. I think he's only 20 years old and he's looking really decent. For my money, I'm gonna go with Mwepu. Just because I thought there were just bits of his interceptions were strong. There was a lovely bit where he nutmegged Odegaard, which made me very happy. So I'm going to go with Mwepu. But let's hope that we can continue this optimism going. Let's hope that next week we can come to you guys with another positive episode where we've done a win over the Spurs. But all that needs to be said now is a massive thank you to Dan, Chloe, and Aaron for joining us today. Thank you guys for listening. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done already. And we will catch you next time. Take care, guys.